I'm 22 years old and I may never be able to walk again. Now, before I explain why that is, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. Now, about, I would say 3 to 4 years ago, I had fractured my spine in 2 different places. Now, the reason I fractured my spine is not exactly important to the topic of this video, but the fact of the matter is that I fractured my spine about 3 or 4 years ago, and this left me in excruciating pain every single day to the point where I couldn't really do much and I had to stop working out because of how bad this pain was. I could barely walk, I could barely breathe, I could literally barely do anything. And after I had recovered from that injury, I spent the next, as well, 2 or 3 years every single day trying to do whatever I could for the most part to not re-injure myself. And with this fear in the back of my mind that that injury was going to come back up or I was going to re-hurt my spine in some way, shape, or form. So I would not train my legs as hard as I could be just so that I would not re-injure myself and do a million and one things, because that spine fracture that I had 2 or 3 years ago was mainly from a reoccurring spine fracture that I had multiple times. So I had fractured my spine about 3 or 4 times in the same area. And each time the fracture happened was because of a different reason. But anytime you break something, it never heals as strong as it did before after about the second break. So this leaves me with this endless fear that I'm going to constantly be injured and not be able to continue working out and not be able to do things that I enjoy because of this pain. And after 2 or 3 years, I finally started to get pretty comfortable again that I was probably not going to re-injure myself and I would probably be fine. I wouldn't have to worry about this anymore. So the fear slowly started to fade, but I would still occasionally get some sciatic nerve pain here and there, and that was kind of normal. But as about a couple months ago, that pain slowly started increasing and getting worse and worse over time, to the point where I was probably hitting about a 15 out of 10 on the pain scale. In so much pain, I could not walk. If I put any weight on my leg, it would literally buckle. I'm 22 years old and I was walking with a cane just to be able to get in and out of my car, to be able to work, to do this and that. If I would lay down and sit on a bench to do an incline dumbbell chest press, it would hurt my lower spine because of how bad it was. Now, I don't know exactly what it is that I re-injured, but it's one of the 3 things that it either refractured or I have a disc herniation that got worse, or most likely I have what's called a sequester disc, which is where the inside of the disc pops and the fluid kind of comes out and moves around, because the sciatic pain runs down both of my legs and it is absolutely crippling. But what this did is I had created this vision in my mind, all these things I was going to do with my life. I was going to set up my new business with coaching and change so many people's lives and be able to do this and that. And that this whole vision that I had just all shattered and crumbled and came to nothing because, well, how am I supposed to be a fitness coach if I can't even work out? It makes you feel quite hypocritical. So over the past 2 or so months, while I couldn't train nearly as hard and I had to take about a 2-3 week break of not being able to train at all because of how bad the injury was, it left me to thinking about a lot of things. And back to what I was saying about originally how I said I may never be able to walk again, one of the possibilities is that due to the symptoms that I have, it could be that the injury is something called cauda equina syndrome, or at least developing that. And basically what cauda equina is at the very bottom of your spinal cord where it ends, which is right around your waistline area, you have something that starts that's called your cauda equina. Now you can think of the cauda equina, kind of like a surge protector, okay? Your spinal cord is the outlet, and then the cauda equina is all the extra outlets that come off of the surge protector. Now, if you smash the cauda equina too much, you paralyze everything from your waist down. It's like turning off that surge protector or unplugging it. So anything that's got power going on to those plugs on that surge protector completely gets wiped out. Okay, and that's, your waist, your bladder, your bowel, everything. And I had every single symptom but one of caught equine syndrome for about 2 months straight. So this left me in this immense fear of, I'm 22 years old and I literally am slowly getting worse day by day, and this could be like leading into me being paralyzed. And that's something that makes you rethink your entire life, everything you're doing. It makes you think deep into the meaning of life and why you're even alive, why you're even doing what you're doing. And looking back on it now, I can say that I'm glad it happened, because it made me rethink a lot of the things that I had got caught up in and just kind of lost in the vision I was trying to chase and the things I was trying to achieve. But it also, the main thing is that it left me with this immense stress and anxiety that was through the roof. I couldn't sit still, but yet I couldn't do anything because I could barely walk. And constantly wondering whether you're not going to be able to walk again it's something that really plagues your mind. And thankfully I have been slowly recovering over time, but I still have to be extremely careful with anything I do over my lower half, because one wrong move and I am not going to be able to walk again. Because the extent of how bad this was I couldn't even use it. I was having difficulty literally using the restroom. Nothing was working. And when all that stuff starts to happen, it shatters everything. And a great way that you can relate to this is maybe not on that extreme of a scale, but just anytime something has gone really bad in your life, and you know that feeling when it's like you start to feel hopeless and you just feel so defeated. It's like, what do you do from there? Well, the only thing you can really do is get back up and figure out a way and keep pushing, because time doesn't stop ticking. It doesn't wait for you. You have to catch up for it, and you have to get ahead of time. And if you don't ever do anything to try to figure out a way to push through whatever it is you're going through, then you're going to get nothing out of life. And this is something that I've been thinking about immensely. And on top of that, I've been thinking about immensely of like the point of anxiety and what do we have anxiety and stress for. And anxiety and stress can be a very good and useful tool if you use it to motivate you, if you use it to push you. But there's a bit of a tipping thing with tipping whatever, I can't think of a word right now, but with stress and anxiety. And it comes to the point where if you are not stressed enough and you do not have any anxiety, that is a bad thing, because you're going to have no urge to actually do things. And what stress is simply cortisol. And if your cortisol is too low, you can go look this up for yourself. There are going to be lots of negative problems. You're going to have no drive. You're not going to want to do anything. You're going to feel terrible all the time. And it is not going to be a good thing. So if you're having an extremely hard time actually pushing yourself to do anything, you just feel extremely lazy and like you don't want to do anything, there could be a good chance that your cortisol is too low. And something like ashwagandha could be great for that, because a lot of people think of ashwagandha as like the don't give a crap about anything supplement. But if you take ashwagandha in the proper dose and not like an extremely high dose, it acts more as a cortisol modulator. So what it's going to do is it's going to help increase your cortisol if it gets too low. If it's way too high, it's going to help bring it down. But the point of this video isn't to talk too much about supplements and peptides and stuff like that, as much as I do love all those things. It's to talk more about stress and anxiety, and specifically great ways to manage it, and some of the things I've been thinking about like what stress and anxiety really are. And it's like, a lot of times when you're stressing about something, you got to think about a few things that goes on here. First off, if you're stressing about something and it's something that's like out of your control at the moment, and you truly can't change anything about it. There's a lot of things that we stress about that we know we can change, and the reason we're stressing is we're not doing anything when we know we could be doing something. And that's where stress comes in good. But if it's something that you're stressing about where there's really nothing you can do and you're just kind of like literally stuck with your hands tied, you have to think about the reason that you are feeling so stressed and having so much anxiety, besides the point that you might not be doing things that you need to be doing. But it's that a lot of the times what I found myself doing is I'll be trying to go through the emotions and go through the stages of grief on my own before the actual thing happens, so that when the actual thing happens, I don't feel those emotions and I don't feel that stress and anxiety as bad during the moment. So I'll try to force myself to feel it way earlier on, kind of like bracing myself for the impact, for the fall or whatever. But this is a terrible coping mechanism that I myself have brought upon myself, and probably you as well listening to this have brought upon yourself, because all that does is it leaves you in this anxiety and stress state 24/7. And the problem about that is that if you're in this stress state all the time because you're trying to brace yourself for the impact of an emotion that you might or might not feel in the future, anytime that you do get stress and anxiety when there's an actual problem, and it's something that it's an actual problem that you need to fix in your life, you're just going to try to figure out a coping mechanism to not feel that anxiety rather than to actually do the thing, because you're associating anxiety and stress with you just bracing for the impact and bracing for the fall, rather than, okay, I actually need to take steps and move forward in life. And on a second note, anytime that you're stressing about something, anytime you're having anxiety about something, and anytime you're having these negative thoughts, all you're doing is just allowing that to actually come true in the future. And you're manifesting that to actually happen in real life. And I don't want to use manifestation in this like crystal girl woo-woo style, but it is still a real thing. It gets blown way out of proportion of what it actually is. You can't just go and sit in your room, sit in a basement or whatever it is, and just hope and stare at a wall that something's going to happen. You actually have to do things in real life while simultaneously having the mindset that it is going to happen. Feel as if it has already happened. I want you to think about it like this in life. If you have a goal, if you have something that you actually want to achieve, you need to put everything you have into actually achieving that goal. But not only putting everything you have into achieving that goal, but you need to understand that, think about that goal, think about your dream life, think about your dream physique, the amount of money you want to make, the car you want to drive, whatever it may be. Think about that as if you have already had a cashier's check written to you and it is on your name. It is in your name. And it has been sent in the mail and it is on the way to be delivered to you. And every single action, every single step that you take forward, everything you do to take another step forward is just increasing the shipping time. It's increasing the speed it's getting to you, increasing the rate at which you're going to receive it. But every time you do all these negative things, every time you just go and you stay up late and go drink and smoke for no reason, or you go and beat your meat, whatever it may be, that is just slowing down the shipping time, and that's slowing down the amount of days it's going to take for it to actually arrive to you. But if you can actually feel it in your mind, in your soul, that check has already been written, because it already has, and it is on its way. But if you don't do something about it, it's never going to come, because you're just going to continuously slow down the shipping time. And you're going to slow it down more and more and more to the point where you get to the very end of your life and it never arrives, because you never did enough to actually speed up the shipping and get it to you. And if you can think about something negative for so long and believe it and feel it to be so true, ask yourself, why can you not think of something positive? Think of your dream life, think of your dream physique, to be something that's going to to be something that's going to actually happen, and to be something that's true, and continuously believe that and continuously feel it. And sometimes you're going to have times of doubt, but anytime you do have that time of doubt, you just need to constantly remind yourself that doubt does not matter, because it's going to happen, because you know you're going to do everything you can to continue working forward. And even if you feel like you're walking down or driving down a blind road with no headlights on, you're still going to be trying to figure out what you can do to move forward constantly. And once again, you're going to have times where you fall back. You're going to have times where it feels like you just got sent all the way back, just like I did with my injury, where I felt like my whole world was shattered and just filled with this feeling of defeat, I've now gotten through that, and that has now made me stronger, and that is now going to speed up my shipping time into getting the dream life that I want, because I know I have to do more, because our time here is so limited and so valuable. But if you don't just start waking up and doing the things you need to do, start eating better, go to the gym, do your damn workout. Like, it's not that difficult. If you're having a hard time getting consistent in the gym, I don't want you to go there and spend like an hour and a half or 2 hours there and do like 1,000,000 sets and all this other crap. Go to the gym, do like 3 to 9 sets, not a whole lot, and then leave. You might be there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you're going to start feeling like people are going to judge you. Nobody's actually judging you. Nobody actually looks at you and says, oh, wow, that dude's only here for 10 minutes and he left. Oh, what's wrong with him? It's like, sometimes people have things to do. And if you're running behind, but you still need to get to the gym, go in there, do a few movements, do something. Because what that's going to do is it's going to build up that muscle in your mind. It's going to build up that consistency, and it's going to allow you to keep moving forward. And it's going to allow you to slowly go to the gym more and more of a time. But if you just throw yourself right into it, it's like throwing yourself into the ocean right after you got out of a hot-ass jacuzzi. All it's going to do is burn. Or vice versa. But if you slowly go just a little bit, and do just a little bit more, and just do a little bit more, and slowly increase the intensity, it's going to become so much easier to do what you actually need to do. You can also think about it like when you get in a jacuzzi. If you get in it when it's really hot, it's going to be burning. But if you get in it when it's like lukewarm, and you slowly turn up the temperature, you can stay in there for a much longer time because your body slowly adapts to that. But if you just shock yourself, you're going to fall off. And if you're having a hard time staying consistent in the gym, that could be your problem. And it probably is your problem, that you're just shocking yourself, constantly trying to throw so much load on you, and then you fall off, and you're like, I didn't do it. Well, I'm going to go twice as much tomorrow. No, just go do a little bit and slowly increase the intensity, and you're going to slowly get better and better, and you're going to work towards that physique, and then you're going to start thinking ways that you can save time so you can go more, so you can go longer. And then you're going to want to go longer, so you're going to end up not procrastinating as much, leaving your house early, leaving wherever on time, actually getting to the gym, doing the things you need to do. And this doesn't just go for the gym. This goes for every single aspect in life. And if you're having a hard time having a clear mind all day, besides the thing that I just said not too long ago, another great thing I highly recommend for you to do is go buy yourself a journal. And anytime you get a good idea, write that down. Every time you wake up in the morning, write down what you're going to do for the day. Write down an actual plan. Write down a few things that you can get done. You're going to go to the gym. You're going to make your bed. You're going to do your laundry. Simple stuff. And get into the habit of doing more and more every single day. And it's going to compound, like compounding interest. And you're going to receive more and more and more. And that's going to speed up the shipping time more and more and more. And next thing you know, that dream physique, that dream life, whatever it is you want, is going to be right at your door. But if you keep doing things that are going to slow you down, it's going to ruin you. And then you're going to feel like you have nothing left, and you're just going to be defeated. But that's not how it should be. And you can move forward, and I know you will move forward. And if you're struggling with this, and you just feel like you really don't understand, go over to my Instagram, shoot me a DM, and I will help you out.